Welcome back. This week we are discussing the action-packed Christmas extravaganza, Die Hard. And Die Hard stars, of course, Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman, Reginald VelJohnson, Bonnie Bedelia, and a host of European terrorists. So this holiday season, whether you are around the table or the tree with your friends and family, don't talk about politics. Too boring, too divisive. Leave politics out of it and really focus on what matters. Telling your friends and family that Jen and I put the case to rest and Die Hard is, in fact, a Christmas movie. I mean, come on. It begins on Christmas Eve. There's a holiday party. Again, what company throws a holiday party on Christmas Eve? There's even one guy with an ugly Christmas sweater that reads, ho, ho, ho. And there's Christmas music. So Die Hard might have a few more guns and glass breakage and violence than your typical Christmas movie, but Die Hard is a Christmas movie. So now that Jen and I have settled the great "Is Die Hard a Christmas movie" debate, let's focus on another aspect of the movie, the HVAC system through which John McClane crawls. And is it safe to use a lighter while you are traipsing around in an HVAC system? So as Hans and his men begin terrorizing Nakatomi's employees, John makes a strategic break for it into the building's HVAC systems. And along the way, cracks wise, keeps his cool, and just does a great job of defeating terrorists barefoot, I might add. He delivers that famous line, one of many in the movie, "Come out to the coast, we can get together, have a few laughs." Of course, that's a horrible John McClane impersonation, but oh well. Now, what I don't know about HVAC systems could fit into a 30-story elevator shaft, but I do know how to Google, and I found some information from the experts at Conditioned Air Solutions out of Huntsville, Alabama. Now, according to the experts, commercial air ducts are typically not used for conveying heroes from one side of the building to another, or floor to floor for that matter. And it is my educated guess that air ducts are typically used to transfer air throughout a building, and air is typically lighter than a human. So I'd imagine that a typical HVAC system, like we saw in Nakatomi Tower, has not been stress tested as to whether it would fit a human or not. But typical HVAC systems use sheet metal that are then attached to the building with something called hanger straps. According to the experts, the sheet metal is rigid ductwork constructed for airflow and not comfort. So it would be actually very easy for someone like John McClane to get scrapes and cuts all over as he is crawling through the HVAC system. Again, they don't typically design HVAC systems for comfort or for people. But again, like in the movie, the only thing Hans could not have possibly planned for was John McClane. And I guess the same goes for HVAC systems. Additionally, this all assumes that John McClane, who I would guess is probably somewhere between 180 to maybe 200 pounds. I'm not a carnival barker and I don't know how to guess people's weight, but I'd imagine that's about how much Bruce Willis weighed while making Die Hard. So would an HVAC system hold John McClane in the first place? Not sure. He wasn't comfortable. He never expressed any sort of level of comfort or enjoyment in being in the air ducts, but he kept his cool. He kept that everyman charm and humor that made Die Hard what it was, and that's always a plus. And in reality, John would have had a much more awkward time moving throughout Nakatomi Plaza's vents in his daring rescue. But let's assume that the HVAC system could fit John, did not have sharp edges, and could hold the weight of a New York City cop. There are still other obstacles that could have hindered John. As we saw, as John entered the vents, Nakatomi Plaza's systems had fans installed along the interior of the ductwork. And again, this is to boost airflow. And as anyone suffering the heat in the middle of the summer knows, airflow is where it's at. And these are the fans that are in an HVAC system are not your typical house fans. They're very large, as we saw through the movie, and they would become extremely dangerous for anyone, hero or otherwise, to encounter. So flimsy ducts, fans, and sharp edges were not the only hazard that John would have faced, because we're forgetting one other detail: rodents. And a building's air system is just one of the places where snakes, skunks, raccoons, insects like to hide. Luckily, John did not have to deal with rodents or their waste as he traversed the tower in an increasingly flimsy tank top. And even though a daring rescue probably is not possible using a building's HVAC system, it really did make for incredible movie magic. And the fictional Nakatomi Plaza was the headquarters of 20th Century Studios, built in 1987, so 1 year before Die Hard was released. And parts of the building were unfinished, so the studio could use its own building and did not have to hold back on stunts or action sequences. Some of the middle floors had already begun to be occupied by legal and administrative departments, but the filming of scenes that involved gunfire had to be postponed until after hours due to noise complaints. But that just begs the question: what scenes in Die Hard did not involve gunfights, explosions, glass breaking, water leaking, etc., etc.? And really, we would be remiss if we did not send Bruce Willis praise for his portrayal of John McClane. He really did bring that everyman charm to life. And in fact, Bruce has said many times that John McClane was his favorite character to play. So I guess that's why there were so many sequels. And finally, in an ironic twist, Bruce Willis, the all-American hero, is actually more German than many of Hans Gruber's villains. As we all know, Alan Rickman was English, Alexander Godunov was Russian, and in fact, Bruce Willis was born March 19, 1955 in West Germany to an American father and a German mother. So thank you again for tuning in. Go ahead and give that subscribe button the old Yippee Ki-Yay so you never miss a thing. New episodes of the Real Relationships podcast drop every Thursday. New episodes of this show premiere every Thursday. And stick with us. We have some amazing content coming up. Next week, we are traveling to Spokane, Washington, my hometown, to my high school for a little bit of high school wrestling and some romance along the way, of course. And be sure to join us in the new year. All of January, we are dedicating the month to a certain actor who has been in a variety of films, several of which have relationships. It just so happens to be their 60th birthday this January. You will find out who it is when our Vision Quest episode drops. And beyond that, we hope to see you well into 2024. Thank you for making 2023 so fantastic. And until next time, stay grounded.